Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to season 2 of Conversations in Pop Culture. Yes, this is the second half of season 2 for me. And before I introduce both my guests, I do want to remind everybody that their links are up above, as well as my link to buy me a coffee is up there too. Please go support the Kickstarters and support indie comic creators and content creators because they do matter. And so, without further ado, returning guest Tom Hutchison from Big Dog Inc. is here. And Jim Noble from Totally Rad Comics is here as well. So both of you, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, I am very excited because we're all going to camp apparently because you have the Camp Rad Dog crossover and Camp Retro happening Kickstarter-wise. Obviously, big crossover event. So before we even get too far into this, what is Camp Rad Dog? What is Camp Retro? And what's going on with this so everybody's caught up to speed before we dive too much into it?
Go ahead, Jim. What is Camp Rad Dog? Go.
It is the Kickstarter event of the summer. It's two indie comic book publishers coming together. We have Camp Crossover and Camp Retro. Big Dog Inc., Totally Rad Comics coming at you for a Camp Rad Dog event. Not only will you have 6 amazing camp-orific covers to choose from, you'll also be able to get crossover covers, connecting covers for both books starting on week 2, which we're only 4 days or 5 days away, 6 days away from getting. What's today? Tuesday. 6 days away. And if you back both our books, you get a really cool patch. You can sew it on, you can glue it on, you can tape it on, you can put it on anything you want to with any way you want to do it. You want to pin it on someone's shirt, put on your girlfriend's shirt, your boyfriend's shirt, or both, whichever you may have, his or hers. It's your patch, and it's the friendship patch. It's 2 fists coming together.
And so obviously there's a lot of stuff going on in this book, and we're going to talk about it and get into it. But where did this idea even come from? Because indie comics don't have crossover events for the most part. And it is rare. And obviously Big Dog Inc. is a very cool company. Your company, Totally Rad Comics, is awesome as well. I would say it's rad, but I don't want to do the pun thing here today.
Every time you say rad, you owe him $1.
Yeah, I have a trademark, so I get paid every time someone says rad and Totally Rad.
I'll just keep on adjusting my pledge. Let's go with that. But anyway,
hey, that'll work.
But by the end of this interview, I'm going to fund the entire Kickstarter on your side multiple times over. But that's not the point here. So obviously, where did this idea come from? Because crossover events don't happen on the indie scene, and it's very cool that they do. And we're going to dive a little bit into some inside baseball in a little bit here on that. But I'm super curious about that.
This basically was, as happens often with things at Big Dog Inc., this was a joke. And last year, the whole world had to stay home, and there were all kinds of, live streams like this happening and so on. And Jim and I were regular members of a show called Unscripted, and we would just get on the show, and basically it's just a whatever you want to talk about, however you want to talk. It's unscripted. So somehow every time me and Jim got on the show, we would always be just sort of riffing back and forth on various things. And he was doing like an ash can, summer camp ash can thing for one of his other campaigns. And at one point I was like, I literally just made the joke, like, we should just do like a dueling summer camp comic book. And he was like, yeah, of course, that's all he ever says. You'll see today. Like, yeah, like that was like, yeah, that's the Jim shtick. But what happened is we had that one time, and then it was like the next time and the next time and the next time. We just kept talking about it for like 6 months. And then when we got to January this year, I messaged and I was like, so are we actually doing this? Like, is this really going to be a thing? And he was like, yeah, let's just do it, And I was like, okay, well, then we got to figure out what the hell this thing is. And so we took the next couple of months and sort of knocked it around. Like, is it going to be one campaign with both books? Is it going to be one campaign with a single book? What are we going to do? And eventually we decided, you know what, let's just run with the whole concept of the camp versus camp thing, camp versus camp. So we'll have 2 Kickstarters, we'll have 2 books, we'll have separate covers, but we will have, like in the classic movie Meatballs, we will have the Summer Camp Olympics, where we'll do add-on covers, and those add-on covers will actually be the legitimate crossover, where we have, like, for example, biking, right? So Keith Garvey did two covers, one for Totally Rad, one for Big Dog, which they stand alone as their own covers, but they also connect, and that's where you get the Camp Olympics element, where you get the crossover going on, and those will be starting July 19th. So that was kind of the beginnings of this whole thing, and then we just kept going with it. What do we do? There's patches. There's going to be an art contest. All kinds of stuff, and we just kept going. And so far it's been an absolute blockbuster beginning, considering we're only in day 3.5, and we're both right on the verge of cracking 11,000. We're both right on the verge of 200 backers. We were literally tied this morning. I don't even know how that's possible. We were literally tied at the exact same dollar amount for about 2 minutes. But considering all of the different numbers and reward prices, like I can't. We need Sheldon to do the math on, like, how the hell is that even possible? But we were tied, and then Jim has taken the lead so far for the rest of the day. So that's actually our fifth lead change in 3.5 days.
So to even go into that, because you mentioned something that obviously this sort of wound up becoming developed, and the question became, is it going to be one book and both of you are working on it, or is it going to be two separate books? And obviously going the two separate route, that does a lot of cool stuff, because obviously it helps, I guess, both books get funded. It adds a lot more story. It's really cool business-wise. It also is good for self-promotion and cross-promotion, and how one book bumps the other. And obviously before I went on the air, and I'm the first person to say this, is that I've backed both, and I obviously have interviewed Tom before, and so I'm loyal to one side. And then I was reading about it, and I'm like, this is really cool, because I like a lot of the artists that Big Dog Inc. hire and push forth. And I'm like, hey, let me take a look at, Jim's book and what's going on with that. And then I saw there was a Mike DeBaffo, and obviously if it was just a separate book, I wouldn't have backed Jim's book and Totally Rad. And that entire thing in Camp Rad and Camp Retro and all that stuff. So obviously, what is that like? Because Kickstarter algorithms can be complicated, internet algorithms can be complicated, and this almost helps promote both of your works. And then crossovers.
100%. I've even had people in our Camp Rad Dog Facebook group. I just had a couple people today. They were like, "Yeah, I've backed some Noble books, but this is my first Big Dog book." So it's everything that we kind of had in our head, like, this is how it should work. It's all working, and really, honestly, in my opinion, it's working way better than it really I could have ever imagined.
Yeah, I've never seen two Kickstarters ran simultaneously at the same time, where they're literally on the same, they're like in the same dollar amount within, plus or minus a few hundred, if that, and the fact that, like, literally, we're crossing over the backers too. Like, so where I'm getting some of the Big Dog Inc. backers who may have not backed Totally Rad before, never even seen Totally Rad, and vice versa with Tom. And it's really cool. It's really neat to see, like, how it's working out. Cause I mean, I honestly didn't have any predictions for this. So to see where we're at now, it's just nonstop. Like, we're on, like, the same, going up and up and up. And it's just like, it's not like, Tom's at, 37,000, I'm at like 12,000, and he's got 500 backers and I have like 300, but we're both maybe 10 or less than 10 away from 200.
Yeah, I'm 4 away right now, and you're 6 away right now.
6 away, yeah. So
it's crazy.
Yeah, it really is. It's really neat to see too. Like, and I've never, so like on my previous campaigns, I've never had this many backers the first 3 days. Like, the most I've ever had in a single campaign was like 322, and I'm almost at 200, and we're only day 3 in. So it's like, these got to be new people.
Yeah, because I'm the first person to say this, that I didn't back any of your campaigns before, and I'm fairly new to your entire company. And the reason why I got in, and I'm a great example of this, and I have no problem admitting it, is because I saw Big Dog Inc. is doing something and Tom is doing something. And then obviously it led me into what you're doing, and now I'm familiar with what you're doing. And I think that's the same way people who are familiar with you might not know who Big Dog Inc. is. And
Right.
it's cool because this is not competing with each other, rather.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
It's not competing with each other in the sense of that the books don't hurt each other.
That's true.
Right.
100%. Yeah. The competition is there, but it's designed in a way to allow both books to rise up at the same time. What we didn't know is that they were literally just going to rise up at the same time.
Yeah. It's going to be really interesting next week too, when we start doing the crossover, the actual connecting covers, because we're doing that week 2 and we're doing one a day. So like each day is going to be really interesting to see, like, all right, how many people are we going to get? The same amount of people? Like, I'm hoping we get the same amount of people so they can get the connecting,
Right.
as opposed to just one person getting just the one half, Like, I'm really curious on how that's going to go. Like, is there going to be like 50 people on one side and like 12 people on the other, or I don't know.
Yeah. It's a huge experiment. And like Jim said, there's never been anything done like this before. There have been campaigns before where there's 2 books in the same campaign. That's been done many, many, many times.
Right.
But as far as actually generating 2 separate campaigns that are designed to function together and lift each other as they go, that's never been done before. And I'll tell you right now that at this point, it's a huge success.
Yeah, and I agree, and it's very cool to see this because I haven't seen this, and I'm the first person also to say that I've been only involved in Kickstarter for about 3 years, and I was in Kickstarter maybe 3 years prior to that I had a very bad experience in. I am very new to Kickstarter compared to a lot of other people, and I haven't seen anything like this. I've seen, one campaign is doing one half of a cover and the other's doing the other half,
Sure.
but the books aren't, related to each other beyond just the connecting covers, and this is a lot more than that. And I sort of want to get into this because obviously both these camps share sort of a beach, and they
Yes.
share Lake Sandy Bottom, and
Yes.
there's 2 camps going on. And so what was it even like building out this entire world? Because these 2 camps are near each other. It's kind of like that American Pie,
Yeah.
the prequel between the 2 dueling camps.
Yeah.
And Meatballs is the same way. And there's a bunch of camp movies that are similar to that as well. And so what is that like, even just setting up the parameters for this? Because both camps can operate in their own world without interacting with each other.
Right. Yeah. The world is essentially the lake. That's it. And then on each side of the lake, there's the individual camps, and they operate differently. They run differently. They don't really have a need to, from a story standpoint, they don't really have a need to like, okay, how did, this character get over there? Like that doesn't have to happen. So each universe, because this is really what it is, it's the Totally Rad universe at camp, it's the Big Dog Inc. universe at camp, and they can really just run within their own set of rules and needs and whatever happens to be there. That's the creative doors that just are like, okay, we're not really stuck on anything. The idea is, here's a camp, here's the characters, there's a lake, go. That's it. And then he can write his story, I can write my story. And then, of course, we did the artistic crossover, which will be the Camp Olympic covers, which will be next week. But just from a basic like structure, this isn't canon. This isn't like Dorothy Gale comes back from Oz to hang out with Critter. This is just pure parody, summer camp, fun, and that's it. And that's what the fans and the readers should expect. Don't be thinking that like you're going to see, Dorothy flying out of a house off the rainbow because she came back to summer camp. That's not it. It's just we're taking the characters out of their normal boxes, putting them in a different box, and having a new story.
And so that's your universe is obviously dealing with a lot of the Big Dog Inc. stuff, and then Jim's universe is dealing with everything that is definitely from the 80s. And it's going retrosexual, if you will. And that's a nod to somebody who I'm going to send this to, who in 70 days is free. And if you don't know who that is, I'm going to remain in code on that one because I don't want to get in trouble or him in trouble either. But obviously, your book is in the 80s universe, and you got cave women and sexy
the
clowns.
Totally Rad universe,
Yeah, the 80s faves.
My cave woman who falls through a portal in time and ends up in the 80s. They all somehow end up in the 80s, and so like all my stories take place within the obviously the 80s, and then somehow the characters end up in the 80s. Like there's not a Totally Rad 90s series. There's not a Totally Rad. I do have a science fiction series that is outside of the 80s universe, the Totally Rad universe, kind of, but she's still in that universe. And like, so I have like topless bounty hunters from outer space who that she actually ends up getting abducted and then comes to Earth and all that fun
all
jazz.
Of his characters are just Terminators. That's all. They're all just Terminators.
Yeah.
And so I love that too, because my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, on both your books is that they could be read individually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't need to read the other, but I think you're going to be missing a lot of stuff if you don't read one and you pick up the other. And a lot of it is also dealing with some of the covers. And especially because during week one, we haven't really gotten any major crossover stuff coming out. We've gotten sort of what I call the normal fun exclusives that is phenomenal art that's come out. And we're going to talk about that in a second. But let's talk about the mashups and all the crossover stuff and even putting that stuff together. Because obviously you mentioned Keith Garvey, and I was Keith's first interview on a podcast. So I enjoy Keith Garvey's work. And I think his work is some of the best. And I think he was an undiscovered talent for 30 years before anybody really caught him. And I think he's late to the game. He's making up a lot of gains, I would say, with companies like Zenescope, Big Dog Inc., and a few others. Mm-hmm. So what is even the parameters for setting up these crossover covers? Because obviously you don't want to hurt your characters, but you also want to have a lot of fun with your characters.
It was just a matter of, like, number one, we didn't want to overdo it. Because here was the other part of this whole setup thing, right? Because normally when Jim does Kickstarters, he has a metric ton of covers. And then even when we do it, we'll end up with sometimes, 15, 16 covers. And when we were talking about this, it's like, look, man, the whole goal is to get people to go to both camps, basically. So we got to structure this in a way that when we're done, yeah, we might have like 20 or so covers, but that's between both camps, because we want to make it very easy for anybody to come in and just be like, yeah, you know what, give me everything for both sides. And that means they're not buying 100 books. You know what I mean? So that was step one. And that's why we started off this first week with the basic 6. And then, of course, there's foils and all that kind of fancy stuff if you want the fancy stuff. But we just had that original 6. And then we knew we'd come into week 2 where we do the Camp Olympics. It was like, okay, again, how many of these do we want to do? And if we do, let's say we do 5 of these, that's literally 10 covers we're asking people to buy, because these aren't wraparounds. They're not, it's literally, if you want both, you got to buy 2 covers. So we was like, well, let's maybe pick 5 or 6. Let's pick some activities. Let's see what makes sense as far as what we can do with some fun art. And that's where it just came down to. We eventually just broke it down into 5, manageable activities that could be done for art, that would connect, that would be fun. And that was it. We just kind of, whittled it down to 5, chose our 5, and then we were on to whatever was next.
Right. And the other thing too is, like, when it came down to those 5 covers, is also getting the artist. And it was basically, for us, it was a lot of the artists that we work with. There's crossover there. Like we work with a lot of the same artists from time to time. So it's just a matter of, okay, who are we going to get? Like Keith Garvey. Keith Garvey's done, dozen covers for me. He's done quite a few covers for Tom. And then, for the Totally Rad side, like I think Courtney Rose, that was her first Big Dog Inc. cover. And for me, on the Big Dog Inc. side, we got the Pedro Perez cover. So, that's the first time that he's done a Totally Rad cover. So it's really neat to be like, okay, here's the artists I have. Here's the artists I have. Here's the ones that are mutual. Let's go with these and then put these in there. So it's really cool. It's really neat to see, and to see him do your character. People who've done your characters or haven't done your characters before, to do them. It's just really cool to see.
Yeah, and I also, just from my perspective, is that at a certain point, there is a limit on what people can buy, and overloading your customer can kill them. And, if you have, as you guys stated, like if you have 20 covers and Tom has 20 covers, that's way too much, and people are going to have to pick and choose. And even in my world, it's like I only have a limited amount of money to back certain covers. And so at a certain point, when people do want everything, you don't want to bankrupt your fan base.
Right.
Because
And
you want them to back another project in 3 months from now.
Right. And there are those people on both sides that will come in and just click, give me all
Yep.
of it. And
But yeah, they'll do the all cover tier. And and the cool thing too about this is probably like the only totally rad Kickstarter that I've done, at least, that any like probably the most easily affordable. You could literally own all the covers for this, because usually like that tier is like $1,000, but this time around, if you want to get all the covers, like all like not counting the foils and medals, you just want to get all the covers, it's just like $110. That's it. And so I think a lot of people are jumping on that just because, hey, this is the first time I can get literally all the covers. Because usually I go through, like, I do the alphabet thing, cover A, cover B. I go through all the way through Z, and then I'm, A1, A2, and then the next, and so on and so forth. And
yeah, I know people like that, and I'm very selective because I have a budget and I want to remain at least somewhat healthy. And
right.
I'm in my parents' house right now, and if I go overboard, I will not have supper. So we're going to leave it at that. So, and then I will be yelled at in a very unpleasant way. I think yelling can be fun, guys. It can be fun. Just sometimes it cannot be fun. So on that note, it is what it is. But I like the fact that it is affordable, the basic set, and I think it is important because obviously, if you were doing a $1,000 tier, that's gonna. Somebody could drop $1,000 very easily, but then they're not going to the other side.
Right.
It's super important to understand that.
Exactly. Yeah, and that the way that the backers and the pledge amount have been very equal all the way up, it looks like that our thought process was right on the money. So.
And so to now get into this stuff, because obviously there's a bunch of rewards, and I know there's a bunch of stuff for Jim. I know there's a bunch of stuff for Tom, and I'm going to go through the retro side first because it came sort of first in the history of time, if you will. And so obviously we have this cover, which is really cool, and I don't really know who the guy is in the middle. I couldn't find it in the comic. It's really weird, and I mean, I'm just saying whoever it is might be egocentric.
Oh yes, yeah, and that is actually also because both our cover A's have the same theme, where Tom's cover is a swipe of the Meatballs movie poster, and then my cover is a swipe of the Meatballs 4 movie poster.
That's Tom's for those who are interested. And so obviously this is definitely related to Meatballs, and it's obviously you, and it's sort of fun, and it's an affordable naughty cover. Let's put it that way.
That's true. Yeah, it's just a little one boob action there. I didn't intend for that. It's the way it ended up being. Because the movie poster, the woman's wearing a top, but for some reason my characters are wearing a top. But I guess that's a normal theme in my book. So.
And then, well, there you go. This book's not for kids anymore. So there goes this.
Right.
and then this is cover C. And
yeah,
cover B. So we'll start with cover B, and then this is cover C, and obviously this is Dan Mendoza, and for those who don't know, Zombie Tramp. For those who don't know, and this is right out of the pages of Zombie Tramp.
Yeah, I'm really good friends with Dan Mendoza. Have been for quite a few years, and when he was actually the first cover he was the first person to do a cover for this book, and so I've been sitting on this cover for like almost like 6 months now. Like, we better do the summer camp book because I got a Mendoza cover.
And so I like the fact that there's a cover B, a cover C on this, and that it's always fun in that regard. And then obviously there's this one too, which is cover D. And I don't know who this artist is. I have actually never heard of. I think it's Shikari, I want to say.
Yeah, so Shikari, they're a fairly new artist on the scene. They've been doing covers for some indies, a few new indies lately, and they seem to be getting really popular. So I figured, hey, why not? Why don't you do my sexy clown Roxy Feelgood? And so he actually so he did this one, and then he did like 5 other variations, and I was like, yeah, we'll go with this one.
And so that's something that's out there in which because I never saw that artist, and I think that's something about the indies that's very cool in that regard as well. And then I also want to mention this one. And Jeff Wilson is just classic, and I would have got this cover, but I can't share it on Instagram, so that's why I didn't pick it up.
It's actually, granted, it does say naughty and naughty, but you don't see any naughty bits on this cover. It's the most naughty Steph Wilson cover without seeing any vagina or any boobs. Like, you see the boobs squish, but you don't see, obviously the bad nipples, which people don't like for some reason. You can't show a nipple, but you can show the rest of the boob.
And then this is the cover I picked up, and this is
yeah.
Mike DeBalfo, and obviously he kills everything he touches. And this is the foil version, I think, or the metal version.
The metal, yeah. Granted, the metal will be more reflective. Actually, I got an example of one of the metals I have right here.
Simulated metal effect.
It's super. This is a metal cover. It's super reflective. Like, you could see my phone and the back of my Kickstarter on my computer over here. Like, that's how reflective it is. It's like you could do cocaine off this metal cover. It's super mirror reflective, the mirror metal. It's very nice.
And so you have 6 basic covers, and then obviously we get into the foils, and then we get into the metals. And you have a bunch of packages and triple packages because somebody might just say, hey, look, I love the Steph Wilson. That's all I want to pick up, and that's great. And you could get all 3 of them. You could get some combo deals of a variety of stuff. I think there's a B and C regular cover combo deal if you're just a Mendoza fan. And so obviously there's a bunch of stuff with you going on with that's available. And obviously you limited the basic 6 because normally you would go hard.
Yeah, normally I have like I usually have like 20 or 26 covers to start. And like my last Kickstarter, it was 3 different books, and I went all the way through A through Z on all 3 of them. So so this is definitely a really big change for me. And the first Kickstarter I ever did, I did 16 covers, and that ended at $8,000, and that was 2 years ago. And so I'm already past that $8,000 point. I even have way less covers than I had then. So it's amazing to see how far we've come.
and then I'm going to come back to this because it's actually a very interesting question that I have. But I do want to talk about Tom's rewards as well. And obviously you have some different stuff that he has as well as some covers. And so you have these, and these are the like acrylic stand characters. And I haven't seen this, and I think they're all just $20 a piece. And obviously we have pretty much all of them from Big Dog Inc. in camp mode, I guess. And so what prompted this to be developed? Because these are fascinating. And this
was something that I'd been kind of watching for a while. I wasn't really sure how, when, or where I wanted to kind of tackle it. I've seen them at cons, just sort of in general. They weren't like comic book versions. They were just acrylic standees of, like, I don't know, Pokemon and just weird crap like that. And I was like, that's cool. And then I started to see some folks. I have seen a couple of people do them for their campaigns. And I was like, oh, okay, so I'm not the only one looking at this. And I thought, you know what? This is such a weird campaign. It's such a weird parody of everything that I normally do. And since we're only going to have these 6 covers anyway to start, let's have a little fun. Let's create a little swag, because there's not a lot of Big Dog Inc. swag. You get some stickers and trading cards and stuff when you do these campaigns, but we just haven't really gotten into, like, water cups and mugs and, like, whatever. And so this to me felt like it was something really unique and interesting and fun. And so I was like, yep, let's just take a shot at this. Let's throw them out there. So there's 4. Was there 4? 1, 2, yeah, there's 4. So there's 4 characters. Each one will be about 4 or 5 inches tall. They'll have a base to kind of stand them up on. The base will be the Camp Crossover logo. And we're only going to make 100 pieces of each. That's it. We're making 100 pieces, and then they're gone. So whatever gets sold on the Kickstarter, whatever's left, we'll take them to Comic Cons and that kind of thing. But then in addition, we did do on our Get It All pack, the Summer Essentials pack, there is an exclusive catnip acrylic figure that you can only get by grabbing the whole pack. And we've already sold through half of those packs. We made 50 of them available. We've already sold through 25 of them in our first 3 days, that's ridiculous. So if you're interested in the swag, if you want to just go all in and get the books anyway, you're going to get a bonus acrylic figure too. And yeah, that was kind of the fun tryout thing that we did so far. And we've had a lot of people adding them on. We have actually had some people just buy the set. You can just buy the set at a discounted price too, if you just want the whole set. So we've got them a couple of different ways that you can get them.
And then obviously you have some other stuff before we get into the books, because you're also offering Kaiju Epic, and I think it's the CB Zane cover, which is the awesome one where it's like Big Ben is going down, I think.
Yeah. So again, because we only had the 6 covers, and again, the thought process was we're probably going to have a lot of people finding this campaign either through Jim or just generally speaking, because it's so different. We're going to have a lot of people that probably don't know a lot about what Big Dog Inc. is, who these characters are. And so I created a little subsection called Summer Reading, where they can buy trade paperbacks and issue number 1s of like Princess vs. Zombies, Lights, Camera, Jungle, Kaiju Epic, that kind of stuff, so that they can learn a little more about what they're, because when they read the camp book, that's just going to be like, what the hell am I reading? This is so weird. I don't know who any of these people are. Then they can come over and be like, oh, okay, now I know who Tina is. Now I know who Joan of Arc is. Now I know who Cindy is, based in the Big Dog Inc. world. And that too has been a huge, huge success. So many people are adding books on, which tells me that we've got new readers coming in, and they're like, yo, I want to know what's going on. So again, another sort of experiment that has gone over really well.
And obviously that I think is also important, knowing that when you're selling something and you're selling something that's not an introduction book, to offer an introduction, because it is super important. And I've seen a bunch of companies not do that on Kickstarters. And I've seen Kickstarters fail where you're on issue 3 and you're not going to give me even an ability to catch up on a digital side of it for an issue 1 or 2. Forget about shipping me or offering me a book, which sometimes I understand can't happen, but it's offering me 1 and 2 digitally to buy. Sure. That's super important, because if I can't get into your book and get into it by issues 1 and 2, and you're offering me 3, I become a non-interested customer. So I think it is super interesting to do that. But obviously you got a bunch of covers. So I showed you this one, and I think you are perfectly entitled to put yourself in this. I would also put myself in that cover.
That is not a me choice. That was Jason Hay here. He's the interior artist as well. So that's what the book will look like on the inside too. But basically he did this as a joke. He kind of had drawn it out partially as a joke, sent it to me, and I was like, oh, yo, so that's going to be our cover. And I told him who to turn all of the different characters into, and there it is. There's the whole thing. So it's fantastic. And then when I showed that to Jim, that's when he was like, okay, I can match that. And then he went and did his Meatballs 4 cover. So yeah, so that's where all of that came from. I had no idea what this cover was going to be like I was like, dude, I don't know what to do. And then he pulled that out of the cloud, and I was like, yep, that's what we're going to do.
And it is a great cover in a lot of ways, and it's totally appropriate, like this cover is.
Well, and like I said, that we were talking in the green room previously, that main cover that Jason did, it's the best-selling cover that we have, like by a long shot. And when you add up like the basic pledges, the pledges that have done the all or nothing pack, and all the people that are just adding it on, in the first 3 days, we've already sold 100 copies of that cover in the first 3 days. So it was clearly the right direction to go, and people 100% gravitated right towards it. So yeah, it was good.
And
well done, Jason.
This cover is fascinating in so many ways, and I'm not too sure. I'm slightly confused. But I'm not complaining. So
all of those are the right reactions. They're all the accurate reactions. This is not a cover that you normally would see on a Big Dog book. But again, because we're playing the parody game, we're just kind of taking everything out of the norm. This is the artist is Keith Rain, somebody that I met at Cincinnati Comic-Con like forever ago, like so many years ago, and I've always wanted to work with him. And it just never worked out. And finally, when I was starting to line up the covers for this stuff, I remembered some of the work that he did, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is the moment. This is where it has to happen." And I shot him a message. I was like, "Yo, we want to do like this," and he was like, "Yep, we can do that. And he did it. So it's a really fun cover. You got a crossover with Cupid the Angel and Cindy from Princesses versus Zombies having lunch. They're just having lunch. I don't know what you're worried about.
It's
just
the
having
most
lunch.
totally rad cover without being totally rad.
It's definitely a naughty cover without being naughty. Is the way to put it. And then this cover is fun too because I've never wanted to play tennis more.
Yep. This was a great image. Again, we're just trying to be fun and goofy with this stuff. So this is Bill McKay, Sanju Nivengoon. Very different sort of Bill McKay. Like this is not a normal Bill McKay cover, which is one of the reasons why I like it so much. The last couple of covers he's done for us, we kind of went back and forth a little bit on posing and stuff. And he was like, yeah, man, let's just keep ramping it up. And so the Angel, and it was a tricky perspective too, because he had to figure out how to do the net and all that, the tennis net and so on. So it came out great. It came out really cool. It did exactly what I wanted it to do. We got Afriel from Penny for Your Soul, who is the Angel, who is completely clueless as to how hot she is. And that completely came across in the cover. So perfect job.
Well, I could tell you what this cover is, and the best description is it's the really hot teacher in your school when you're a senior in high school cover.
Also, yes. Well, yeah, and again, we're playing on the idea of the the hot camp counselors too. So all of the tropes and the cliches are here.
so I like this cover too. There's a lot of really good covers in this outing that are just amazing, and then this is just fun with it's just very wholesome. I feel that this cover. I feel like this is the safest cover. If you cross the wrong way, you might get chopped.
Yes. Wanted to just do something simple as well, because again, trying to keep all the options open for whatever your collectors are coming in for. Not everybody is a big fan of boobs. Not everybody is a big, all that kind of stuff. So we wanted to do something that was fun, that was cute, that was that fit with the characters. So you've got Critter and Schoolgirl on the left. They are the superhero team that we have in the Critter book. And then on the right, we threw Mrs. White in with her axe. So she's been chopping wood. She's from Princesses versus Zombies, but we threw her in there to kind of fill it out with the wood and the campfire. Another great cover. So this is April Reyna, and this is her first ever Big Dog Ink cover.
And so I like this cover because I think it really hits to a wholesome level. And I think that, hey, if you just like the stories and you're not looking for that sex appeal, this is kind of that cover. And it's really smart to have a very nice cover. Much like the cover A is not that bad, all things considered, versus Bill McKay's cover. Bill McKay's cover is amazing. I mean, bad in the sense of being suggestive.
Sure. Yep.
I enjoy its suggestiveness. Not saying I don't enjoy it, but I want to clarify the point here, okay? I want to just clarify it. Also, Sanju is a great colorist.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He's great, and he's been on this show. So there we go with that. And then I like pillow fighting, and this is fun as well. Yeah.
This is a great crossover. Again, we try to do some crossovers with these books. So this is Catnip fighting with Tina from Lights, Camera, Jungle. So again, two books that, there's no reason for them to ever cross over. So here we get to have the fun crossover moment plus the pillow fight moment. There's the Lights, Camera, Jungle poster in the background, which is great. Because in the Big Dog Ink world, Lights, Camera, Jungle is a TV show. So, of course, there would be swag and posters and stuff like that. So there's a poster of the TV actors in the back at camp while they're having their pillow fight. So this is Carl Liversidge. Carl has become a huge BDI artist over the past couple of years. And when we got to this, I was like, he actually did this as like a vertical cover. And I was like, you know what? This is not working. Let's flip this horizontal and give everybody a chance to really move and breathe. And he was like, oh, that's a brilliant idea. And here we go. This is what we got. So really fun. Goth cat girl versus jungle girl.
And then the final of the 6 is this one. And this is very cool because some Chloe's happening.
Yeah, your classic pinup style cover. This is Brian Peterson, Elenia Di Napoli. So this is Chloe. This is Chloe's first appearance on a cover as well as inside the book. This is a key issue because it's her first appearance. Chloe is Blue Jay. So you guys have been seeing a lot of Blue Jay stuff of late, the superhero Blue Jay. Chloe is the alter ego of Blue Jay. So this is technically the first Chloe Blue Jay appearance in BDI Comics. And you can get the cover, which is your cool, sort of Instagram style thing, which is what Chloe and Blue Jay are all about. They're very social media adept. They're the same character. She is the social media adept character, always using her Instagram and getting the right photos and so on. So it made absolute sense again to kind of take the basic camp idea, and use it as a catalyst to push BDI forward again.
And obviously, Ryan Peterson's just killing it lately.
Oh yeah,
he's just killing it. And so he's
Absolutely.
very, very good, and he's about to become a lot bigger. I can tell you that, and I think you know that very well.
That's why I just keep giving him work. Like you don't need to go anywhere else. I'll just keep doing work over here.
And so obviously, I just showed 12 covers, and obviously all 12 of them are currently available. And I'm curious how you guys feel, because obviously, Tom, you've been booking a lot of covers as of lately, and Jim, you've booked a bunch of stuff as well, and you've done a bunch of covers, I think, right? Hopefully, I think. And so my question is that, because I'm about to book a cover, so it's a personal question as well as an important question from somebody who but I don't want to say yet because we're working it all out. But what makes a good cover? Because all 6 of these covers are amazing in so many ways, and they hit so many different niches. And not to beat up any other Kickstarter that the two of you have ever done, but I think all 12 of these covers hit perfectly to a bunch of audiences. And when I was backing yours, Tom, I had a really hard time deciding what cover I wanted to pick up.
Yeah, it starts, I think, with, well, number one, it starts with whatever your book is. And you kind of have to be like, okay, my book is about whatever it is, cheerleaders, right? So then you have to kind of understand the tropes and the cliches of the cheerleader. How do I play to them in a way that people will get the nostalgia from it? But then also, how do I find a different way to do the cheerleader cover if you can? That's kind of where it has to start. And then from there, it's like, okay, I'm going to hire this artist. What is he good at? Some artists suck at drawing cars, so you're not going to give that guy the cheerleader on the car cover because that dude can't draw a car. So you have to work within their strengths in order to get the best out of them. So a lot of it is just kind of, it's conceptual, and then there's just the plain old, here's the cheerleader jumping in the air, because that's the pinup style, and the boobs are flying around and whatever. So it depends on, number one, what your concept is, number two, what your artist is capable of doing, and then really number three, how you want to present the project, the IP, to the public. There are some people that'll be like, I don't want to do boob covers. Like, I don't want to do naked boob covers. I'm like, then don't. Just don't. I mean, even with Big Dog Inc., we have books that we don't do that. It just will never happen. You will never see topless critter covers. You'll never see topless Scheherazade covers, and so on. That's just the line we've drawn in the sand. But then when we go over to Penny for Your Soul, basically it's like, that's it. No rules. Go do whatever you want. But that's genre to genre, book to book. So you kind of have to decide how you want your book to be perceived from that community, because you want people to read it, but you also want people to buy it. And they're not necessarily the same people.
I mean, look at me. I'm a cover junkie. And with that, I enjoy Big Dog Inc., everybody. But I love covers. And I love displaying covers. I like looking at covers. I like sharing covers. I like talking about it because I'm not an artist. I can't draw for shit. In which that I try, and I could draw maybe on a good day a tank. And that's about as far as I go. And I'm sure the two of you could probably draw tanks around me. But that's not the point. It's the idea that, so I agree with that. But what about you, Jim? What do you feel makes a good cover? I'm taking notes, guys. I'm taking notes.
I'm pretty open-minded, because a lot of my artists, I basically just give them the idea. I'm like, here's the idea, here's the theme of the story. do what you will. And very rarely, whenever they return, am I like, wait a minute, hold on, it shouldn't be like this, it should be more like this. I very rarely ever have edits. I'm pretty easygoing when it comes to covers. I'm like, yeah, that's really good. And then half the time it's either that's really great. Now, is there a topless version, or can we do a clothed version and a topless version? And and that's one thing artists really like. They really like that I give them that freedom. Like, I'll give you an example. Like Keith Garvey, recently, I gave him one of my. I have a lot of sexy clown characters that are legit clowns, and so I told him, I said, hey, I want you to do this clown, and I told him, do whatever you think the most fun a clown could have on a cover. And I got an email today. He emailed me today, and he goes, I'm really enjoying this one. I'm really in my field on this one. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be really great. Like, I have no, because I haven't even seen the sketch of it yet, so I have no idea what he's gonna do. But it's going to be clowntastic. It's going to be so cool. Like, because you don't see, like, you see, Keith Garvey pinups, that stuff like this, but like, you don't see him do clowns. You don't really see him do clowns very often. So I'm building that Keith Garvey clown market. I'm making clowns.
I'm sure it's going to be great.
Yeah.
There's a pun in there somewhere. So obviously, and Garvey, he hits 99 out of 100 shots perfectly, and then the one shot he misses is fantastic. Nonetheless, still, it's just a little smidgen down, I must say. Out of like the 100 Garvey covers I've seen, there's only been one that I was like, okay, that's good, but man, he can kill and slay dragons. That's all I'm gonna say. It's the same thing with Sun Kumanaki, in which she can kill and slay dragons like nobody else can, and it's phenomenal. So even going further, because also the other thing that I like about both your covers so far is that your covers are very different than Tom's covers, and that's the other thing that's very cool about this project is that it's like I'm getting a very different cover from Big Dog Inc.'s side of this project than from your side, Jim. And so what is that like? Because I'm getting the Mike DeBaffo and the Brian Peterson, very different ways on how to draw females, very different ways that are playful. And when I'm comparing both of them together, so I think they're both either one of them's a cover E or a cover F, or they might be both cover Fs.
Yeah.
I understand they're different characters, but it's the idea that I'm like, wow, this is two different styles with books that have, tie-ins to each other to some degree. So what is that like? Because it is cool that you guys are funneling into each other's Kickstarters, and then you're offering completely different products. And I don't feel like, because I feel like when I back Kickstarters, and this is my 28th and 29th, now a lot of the time I'm backing similar artwork, and I feel like with this one I'm not backing the same artwork. So I don't know how you guys feel about that, and if that was just by chance or was it intentional, because it is super cool.
Yeah, well, Tom has a theme. Obviously, he's got the Big Dog Inc. universe, the Big Dog Inc. characters, a theme that people, have known for years. And I'm still fairly new, but for me, like, I have a theme. I'm very well known for a lot of the risque covers, the more naughtier covers, the topless covers. So, granted, it's less covers than a Totally Rad Kickstarter, but it's still the same Totally Rad feel. Like, you're still getting the same product, but with a new twist on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you go to Camp Retro, it's going to feel like Totally Rad Comics. When you go to Camp Crossover, It's going to feel like Big Dog Inc. Comics. It's the way it should be. It's literally the way that it should be.
I wasn't even going not even that deep. I was going saying, hey, I love the fact that when, I come to your Kickstarter, when I come to the Camp Crossover and Camp Rad Dog, what it is that I'm getting particular covers, and then I'm funneled into Camp Retro, and I'm getting a whole set of different artists and a whole different feel. And I love the fact that, it's now that I'm not being fed as a consumer the same product. I'm being fed a whole slew of different artists on a cover realm, and I love it.
In some cases, that's scheduling. We both can't have Shikari necessarily. We can't have the ball
right.
necessarily. Just that's a lot of cases. That's just scheduling. And in fact, I don't think that either of us have the same artist in these first 6.
Yeah,
right?
none of the same artists. On
None
the
of
first
them.
6.
So the only thing that we will have the same on will be when we do our Camp Olympics, because obviously the one artist does both covers.
And the other thing is like we never really talked about who we were really getting when we first started putting it all together. Tom was doing his thing, doing the whole camp crossover thing. I was doing my camp retro thing, and every like after probably about 2 or 3 months into it, I was like, all right, so I got Mendoza. I got one of the 6 covers done. Dan Mendoza's doing a cover, and then Tom was like, I got Bill McKay to do a cover. So I was like, well, that's great because Mendoza and McKay, they fit really well together. But to be on separate Kickstarters, it's even better, I think. And like because you get both the fan crossovers because they both. I mean, a lot of the Mendoza fans really love Bill McKay, and it's the vice versa for Bill McKay. They love Mendoza.
That's the thing that's super cool about this, where it's the idea that you look at certain artists and you pair them up very, very well together. And that's what's super cool about it, because now if you like, a particular artist, you're going to obviously be drawn to other artists who are similar. It's one of the things that certain companies do very well. Zenescope does that extremely well, where, there's certain artists that are grouped together, and that if you like their cover, chances are you like the 2 or 3 people around them. And I feel like you do the same thing, Tom, and you probably do the same thing as well, Jim, where you guys know your fan base, and you know that certain people that if you like artist A, you're going to like artist B and artist C. You might not like artist E, but if you like artist E, you're going to like artist E, F, and G, for instance. And, because similar styles attract. And very, very cool to that degree. And as a consumer, because I'll be 100% honest, if you had the exact same covers or similar covers that Tom had with Camp Rad Dog, I might not be a buyer for Camp Retro.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, I'm already being fed this. But the fact that it's different, I'm now more of a consumer. And I think that's also part of the success of this. Whether intentional or not, it worked out very, very well.
Completely unintentional. Completely random.
No, you're supposed to say we totally planned it.
No, we definitely did not plan it out. Like we were keeping our cards close to ourselves. Like,
oh my God, you guys are horrific at this. The plan. This was
everything else was planned. Like everything else. But when it came to who's doing our 6, it was like, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then we just started sending messages out like, hey, I need a cover. And it just happened that we talked to 5-6 different people, and that's where we landed. So yeah.
And obviously, both of you are very close to each other as far as backer count, as well as pledges going on. And I put both the links up as I stated. I made sure that both those links are up. So if you're listening and you got to back those things, and obviously more stuff is coming out in 6 days, and I'm sure other stuff's going to happen. One of the things that is also very cool is there's been a bunch of stretch goals that have been unlocked on both sides. And so obviously, what is that like? Because it's been 3-4 days old, this Kickstarter?
It's not even 3.5 yet. We finished because a Kickstarter day is different than a real day. So from a 24-hour standpoint, we've done 3 days plus where we are now. So we're into the 4th day. I've unlocked 4 stretch goals, 3 trading cards, and 1 bonus digital summer reading book. Which is available to all the backers right now. That's not even a wait till the end stretch goal. That's just, hey, we're here. Here's something to read. Go check it out. It's just we just unlocked it immediately. So we've done 4 stretch goals. 11,000 will unlock the 5th, which will be another trading card, and we're only $406 away from that. So possible we'll unlock it tonight before bedtime. Otherwise, more than likely by tomorrow morning. We'll be able to make an announcement for the next stretch goal and, just keep on trucking. And then tomorrow, Jim and I are going to be live again, just the 2 of us. Well, we might be bringing some artists too, but he and I are going to do a little update. And we're going to tell everybody about the art contest and the coloring contest and all of that stuff so that they can get started on that so that we can do the presentation and the voting in the week 3 of the campaign.
And what about you, Jim? Because you've unlocked some cool stuff as well.
Yeah,
getting postcards, maybe postcard.
Postcards, and we unlocked the postcard, the sticker, a mini print, and I think next is a magnet. The magnet is at 12,000, so we're only $1,043 away from that. We're so close to 11,000. It's insane. Like, and I was telling Tom today. I said, Tom, we could hit 11,000 today. Like, for some reason, I don't know why today of all days, this all of a sudden everything just jumped up. Like, it normally on any other Kickstarter, because Tom can tell you and I can tell you the Kickstarters we've done in the past, it's never usually like this early on. After the first 48 hours, usually the first 48 hours and the last 48 hours are the biggest time that backers come in and back the book. So like for like the, to be on the third, fourth, going into the fourth day to be, getting, 20 or 50 or whatever new backers, it's like, that's crazy. It's never been like that.
Yeah, I'm looking at because if you haven't done a Kickstarter, there's analytics and it tells you where you are every day. And I'm looking at day 4 right now, and day 4 is not even over for another like 5 or 6 hours. And we're already ahead of what we did on day 3 from a just day pledge standpoint. So it's like, what is happening with this campaign? It's so weird. It's so bizarre.
It's not normal.
It's not normal. It's not normal at all for what we're doing for the minimal amount of product that we have and where we are as far as like in the campaign. It's like, this is really weird, really strange. It is comparable to what I did with Goth Day. So with Goth Day, we only did an 8-day campaign. So we did an 8-day campaign. So all of the analytics are different for that because you start fast, you have a couple of little wiggle days, and then basically you're done. So it never really had a chance to slow down. So this is a 21-day campaign, and we're pacing numbers right now that are Goth Day numbers. And we did 15,000, almost 16,000 in 8 days with that campaign. So it's so weird, but I think it's working because of the fact that we're doing it as a together thing. It's a dual thing. Each time we do a marketing piece, it drives people both directions. I think people like the competition part of it. They're like, oh, they're going to get Tom 20 more bucks so that he's in the lead. That kind of stuff has happened a few times. So I think people just like the energy that we're doing. We do have a Camp Rad Dog Facebook page which has picked up almost 20 new members today alone. And they're all in there now, just interacting with everybody else. That's where I'm seeing people like, yo, I've done Noble campaigns, but I have never done Big Dog. So this is my first time here. I'm like, sweet. All of it's working again, like we said, but it's like working way beyond what I expected it would have worked.
And what was really cool too, like when we first launched that first 24, almost 48 hours, there was no other campaign comic book wise that was launching after we launched. Yeah. So in the popularity, we were in the top 5 popularity for a good amount of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
It also probably helps a lot as well. Where,
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. When you don't have as much, air in the room or competition in the room, people flock. And also, I was looking out for it because I knew it was coming down the pike. And obviously I like to be in the first 24 hours backing stuff because obviously there's early rewards and there's a variety of other things. And also, you back something and things can sell out, which just sometimes happens.
Sure. Well, and backing early, that helps the projects in the algorithm race because basically every time someone is a backer, it's basically like a like on Facebook and it pushes it up the viral algorithm. So, and you don't get charged till the end of the campaign. So there's literally no reason to wait till the last day. It doesn't matter. You can do it day 1 and you can change your pledge at any time during the campaign. So go ahead and jump in early, help the campaign get that giant day 1 boost. And then if you see something that gets added on that you want to change, then change it up. No big deal.
Yeah, I might even change up what I want because I'm still figuring out what covers I want. So there you go. But it's
just get them all. Just get them all.
I wish. I'm on a budget, unfortunately. And
we won't tell anybody. It's okay.
I would prefer that to not be yelled at, and I'd prefer to be able to get like 3 other Kickstarters that are coming in the next 2 months.
Yeah,
and you two are the only Kickstarter I'm backing in July, just because I went overboard the first half of the year, which is crazy. But even going further, because I don't want to keep either one of you as far as time, but obviously, I do want to give both of you an opportunity to self-promote because obviously I backed both cover Fs, so I could speak, and Tom always delivers on his projects, and there's always good stuff, stretch goals, and a variety of other things. Obviously, the Oz books have done very well, and there's always been some cool stuff with that, and we've unlocked a bunch of cool stuff, like a 600 print run comic was unlocked,
Yep.
and some metal cards, and I think a poker chip, and some other stuff on the first one. I think the second one is shipping out in what, like
soon.
2-3 weeks?
Yeah, it's finishing up. It'll be at the printer hopefully by the end of the month. So the shipping goal was August, which means as of right now we're still on our shipping projection. Yeah.
And there was a bunch of good stuff that was unlocked in that one as well.
Oh, yeah.
And so you always deliver, and you've gotten a lot better on time, which is something that I know that you wanted to accomplish.
Yep.
And
yeah, Goth Day is actually just about finished at the printer too. So that'll actually ship before Oz, right towards early. Well, I don't know. It depends on how fast they can get the books to where they need to go. But right towards the end of the month, we'll have them in our hands, and we'll be sending them out. And then that's when Oz will be going to the printer, and we'll get those towards the end of August.
And the reason why I bring this up is that there was a debate in a bunch of Facebook groups that if you haven't sent out your Kickstarter yet and you're running another campaign, you shouldn't be doing that. And I just think that's ridiculous, because I think that as long as you're delivering within reason, I would rather somebody be funding, a bunch of campaigns and maybe, their books are coming out in a month because, well, that just means they get their next book out faster.
I mean, there's people that are like years behind. And I get it. Like if someone's like years behind on your campaign, fix that, dude. You got to fix that. And we've been late in the past, but we've always put the book out. Always. We've never not put the book out. And this year it was our goal to kind of build some of that. Last year was the infrastructure build time, but everything fell on its face because of COVID. It all just went collapse. And so this year it's like, okay, let's make sure that we are getting our stuff on time. So the first Oz shipped on time. Goth Day will be shipping on time. The second Oz book will be shipping on time. Now, that does mean that there's some overlap between campaigns, but the shipping window that we've created, we're hitting our shipping windows. So that's all you should be worried about.
And the reason why I bring this up is because, I wanted to give you the opportunity to clarify that, because I know exactly what you're doing. And I think that people, get a little jumpy sometimes, and they always think the worst case. And it's the idea that if somebody's a month behind, it's not a problem for the most part.
As long as there's communication, that's really the key. Because listen, we had a problem one time where we had an entire printer skip out on us. Like, oh shit, I have to go find a printer now. And so that's not my fault. We had the book, we sent them the files, and they're like, yeah, we're not going to do this. We're gone now. So it's like, okay. So problems happen, in the comic book world, especially in the indie world. Listen, even Marvel and DC put out late books. If they can put out late books, here's the one-man team that over here trying to do this when they've got 100 people, on every book.
I'll give you a real quick story. So there's a company called Comic Mint that just had an Art Gem book. Book came back. It's a 3,000 print run, a 1,000 Virgin variant, and book came back. Entire run came fucked up. What they basically said, they spoke to Marvel, they spoke to Art Gem, they said, we're going to just reprint this entire thing. They scrapped the entire run, and the book is now 2 months late into consumers. But they shot everybody an email. They said, hey guys, we don't want to send out a faulty product, and we know that you're all collectors and you just spent like $100 on it. We're not going to send you a misprint run. And all they did is they communicated, and they said, hey, this is what's going on. You're going to get your books in August, not in July. And that's all that I think people want. So obviously, but enough about that. Obviously, I do want to give you an opportunity to promote yourself. So where can people find you?
Yeah. So we basically live on Facebook. I mean, we're not hard to find. I'm here all the time, whether we're on our groups, doing the Camp Rad Dog group, whether I'm on just Messenger, regular posts. It's the easiest place to find me is Facebook. Then there's the Big Dog Inc. fan page on Facebook. There's the Camp Rad Dog group. Instagram and Twitter are basically the same thing. If you guys use those, it's BDI Comics. And then we're on Patreon, patreon.com/Big Dog Inc. We do all the backstage stuff there. So you get to watch these books get put together. You watch logos happen, character designs happen. You get to watch the pages happen from pencils to inks to colors. You get all of the backstage fun and goodies. Plus, there's exclusive books available to Patreon members only. And then every 6 months, we send out a free 6-month Patreon members only variant as well. So it's definitely worth your time to come join Patreon too. But Facebook is where we always are. If you need quick, easy access, just shoot me a message there or to the Big Dog Inc. fan page, and we can answer questions.
And what about you, Jim? Where can people find you, or what would you like to say? Because
I didn't know I was missing. You can find me at I'm on I'm just a lot like Tom. I'm on Facebook a lot. Jimmy Noble. Tom and I actually do a movie show with our other better half, David Fott. Usually we do a movie show every Saturday. It's on hiatus right now. David's not feeling a little well, so we're just waiting for him to get back and recover so we can get back talking about movies. But also, as far as I go, you can find me Totally Rad Comics on Facebook, Totally Rad Comics on Instagram. I'm super easy to talk to, super approachable, from sexy ladies in the 1980s to, sexy clowns, you name it, I got it, you want it, I can give it to you. Any cover that you guys see, any books that you guys see that you want, just feel free to message me and be like, hey, do you have this? Because I've done, I'm only 2 years old technically, publishing wise. Totally Rad's only been around for 2 years. I've done over 17 books and over 500 variants. So there's a lot that people when they find out about me, they're like, hey, do you have this, this, and this, and this? And I'm like, yes, no, maybe, and then I can get it for you. Like, I'm the pusher, man. Like, I will push my comics onto you because I'm moving. I got a lot of stuff in my apartment, and I need to sell them all to make that move.
And so there you go. Obviously, there's a lot of ways to support indie comics here. So clearly, I'm going to just go through this really quick because you have to support indie comics. And, well, you got to back the Kickstarters. And if you're backing one of them, you should back the other one unless you want one of these people not to win, and that's your prerogative, which is totally cool with me because it's not my Kickstarter. So I have no stake in this except that both these books are funded, which means I'm going to get both what I want out of the two of you, and putting it up on Instagram at some point. It's going to be fun. And maybe I'll pick up one of those connecting covers, or maybe I won't. I haven't decided yet. I have to see which one is cool, but that's not the point here.
They're all cool.
But there's one that's the coolest.
There could be only one.
Maybe.
So
I know the one that will sell the most. I guarantee I know the one that will sell the most. And Jim knows what that one is too.
Are you talking about the connecting covers?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's pretty obvious which one will sell the most.
I think when I see it, I'll know it too.
Yes.
Yeah, you'll definitely know.
You'll be like, oh, that's the one.
Yep, that's the one they were saying. Like,
that's the one that Dom talked about. Yes.
But anyhow, as I was saying, what you need to do is that you need to back Kickstarters to support indie content creators. It is the best way how to support them. It actually means something. It is how books get funded, and it is super important. But even going beyond that, obviously, Big Dog Inc. has a web store, and there's a bunch of comics there that you can pick up. I'm sure that if you message Tom and you're looking for something, he'll direct you to where it can be found if need be. I also know that Tom sells a lot of comics on Sunday nights, so you can pick up stuff there, as well as obviously you can message Jim. And if you're looking for things from Totally Rad Comics, obviously you can contact him, and I'm sure that he will have something. You have a list of 10 books that you're looking for that you can pick up as well, and everything from that book. And I don't know who did that cover, but it's pretty hot. So clearly that's another way how to support indie content creators, is actually buying their other works. And it goes a long way. And if you see the book on eBay or you contact the person, buying it directly from them is way more important if they have it. If they have it. If they don't have it, then eBay is a perfectly fine place to go.
Yeah, please don't go to eBay first.
Yeah, and oftentimes if you buy it right from the creator, you're going to get a better price too.
Way better.
A lot of stuff on eBay. I mean, Jesus, eBay, Big Dog Inc. prices on eBay are like, what the fuck is going on? Like, holy God.
I released an exclusive on my web store. Someone bought the exclusive. I hadn't even shipped it out yet. And it was on eBay for almost quadruple the price that I was selling it.
I'm sorry, that was not me. I'll make that clear. That was not me at all. But I would do that. So I'm the worst. but I digress right there. But having said all that, obviously you can get a better price buying directly from a creator or a publisher than you can elsewhere. It's a great way how to support indie, and you need to do it at this point. So on that note, and I'm not too sure who's in the lead, how we're going to decide, but
I'm at
I'll tell you
11,000.
right now that while Big Dog Inc. was the first to 10K, Camp Retro is the first to 11K.
This one goes to 11.
Yes, 11K. He had just rolled over 11K. We are Camp Crossover is now 358 behind the 11K mark. So we have a very real chance of hitting that tonight as well, which is just ridiculous. Because Jim predicted it. He was like, "Yo, we could get 11,000 tonight." I was like,
Sounds like
I don't know.
it's not happening.
who wants the final word?
Go ahead, Jim. He
Camp
doesn't have
Crossover.
words. He has no words.
I'm speechless. Camp Crossover, Camp Retro, Big Dog Inc. Totally rad. Come on, you guys want to check it out. You want to have a good time. We have 18 days to go. 18 days, 12 covers between us, plus another 6. That's on each side. So that's another 12, 24 covers. 24. It's like a TV show. 24 covers. You can get all 24 covers for the low price of probably below $500 to get all 24 of those covers, roughly. Easy day between 2 totally rad Big Dog customers or indie creators. There we go.
Awesome, totally rad dogs. Could have got
Totally
it.
rad dog.
Perfect right there. And then I could have said that any better myself. So on that note, this is a wrap.